Hi. Mm-hmm. Um. Hmm. No, I'm good. Thanks. Huh. LeBron is the only one we've got in the room. Here we go.
Hey, Miss McClellan.
Hi. Cece, were those all pictures of cats on your thing?
Yeah, they're cats with stuff on their face.
There's an actual cat. Oh my god.
That's wait. Let me guess, because I know this. That's Salem. No, okay, well it's the other one. I don't remember the other one's name.
It's a little bit.
A little bit, that's the one. Yeah.
Miss McClellan.
Miss McClellan, guess who I met this weekend? Sorry, LeBron, I have to cut you off for this. This is very important.
Dang.
It's important. This is very important, you guys.
Yo,
Guess
okay, this is I have a question for, it's about this source of reading.
About what?
It's the idea of, like, this common trope of Amazonians, like, a world where all the guys are just dead and it's just paradise for women.
Yes.
And when a world filled with dudes, it's always chaos. I'm like, hold up. Like, hold up. That's it?
Yeah.
I was curious, like, can there be a paradise where just only dudes?
Did you ever read Lord of the Flies? Were you like paying attention in class?
I never read Lord of the Flies.
They were only 12 years old and they caused death on the island. Imagine, I could never. Anyway, I met DMX this weekend. Isn't that amazing? Look.
Is that what
look.
that was? I was like,
Yeah.
why are you sending me this picture of this random grown man?
I told you, I said I met DMX and you're like 100%. Like, what kind
No,
of...
that never came through. I only
That
got the
never...
picture.
Yes, it did. What are you talking about?
Anybody know anything about Randall?
No. I could care less right this time. I said, girl, I met DMX 7:34 p.m. followed by that picture. What are you talking at 7:35, man? What are you talking about? I think you just
Right
wasn't
now,
reading
I
my
just got a
messages.
random photo from you.
Check your phone because I sent you the girl I met DMX just now. Like that's what came through.
So a couple of years ago, LeBron, in response to what you're talking about, they said they were going to remake Lord of the Flies movie with all girls, and everyone
see what pops off.
like, it doesn't work. Like, didn't you read the book in high school? Like, girls, and honestly, if I think about it, if you put a bunch of girls together on an island, I don't think it would be like all hunky-dory and everyone would get along. I think they would like section themselves off into like little cliques, but like keep to themselves, and like people would just like my thought is that once they started seeing like who was sort of antagonizing each other, they would just like section off into different areas of the island.
Of course, we would have to kill somebody, though. Like, let's really think about that. If we were all on the island, like, if all females were on the island and somebody said something about this person, oh, trust and believe somebody would snatch somebody's wig and throw them in the ocean. It's not even like a joke.
Ooh, I feel like
it would be like Lord of the Flies, where everybody's just like openly vicious. I feel like
No.
Because we would be vicious in silence.
Yeah.
That's what it would be.
No. Okay, I don't know if any of you guys watch Rick and Morty, but do you remember the episode where like all the girls ran? Like the Gazorpazorp.
No, but I do remember this one Futurama episode where it was just a bunch of cave women, and I won't get into the details of the episode because it was really inappropriate, but they like had their own island, their whole planet full of women, and it was just thousands of Amazonian cave women that just ran the whole planet, and they were like, y'all just living here? And they were like, yeah, me live here, me do this, me do that. Like, it was just so ancient and prehistoric, but it was just all women. That was it. And that's what I think it would be like. They just be pretty cave women, and that's about it. Like, that's what I think would happen.
Miss McClellan, guys, the reason I brought this up, because I was reading this comic book. It was Wonder Woman. It was year 1. I was reading it, I was like, if a world, like, there was only a place where only women, they're all Amazonians, they're all warriors, and they're depicted to be like this heavenly place.
Either.
You even say like, oh, they all in the same sex relationship, which I can believe that can be possible. I'm thinking like, what would that look like if it was an all guy? Women just disappear, and we're all just immortal. Sooner or later, it's still gonna be like that.
Well, didn't she like come from a man? Like her mother had a baby with a dude, and
that's
then like
besides the point.
he like died, and then they just started their own like clan thing, right? Like that's what happened, right?
Yeah.
Like he had a bunch of kids with her, and then he like disappeared, right?
No. I'm gonna keep it short and simple. Hippolyta screwed Hercules, stole the seed from him, killed Hercules for the abuse, started this whole tribe full with immortal women, and they're all in the whole same-sex relationship. They have their own culture, identity, and they prosper.
All I'm hearing is baddie do this, baddie do that.
And
Oh
they're
my
all
god,
like
we
supermodel
thriving.
because they don't age, and they're all
Okay,
physically
well,
healthy.
In Gazorpazorp, how they settled things though is they had a court, and they were like, basically, if you were convicted of like a bad crime, which the crime was in Rick and Morty, the crime was having terrible bangs.
Oh my god.
They gave them
I
each
feel that was funny.
the punishment was silent treatment. And I
Oh
feel
my
like
god, that would work so well. Do you know how guilty? Oh my god, the silent treatment. Oh my god,
Yeah,
that would
but
be hilarious.
I feel like I was just thinking, like, what would it look like? Because every time I look at comic books and literature, they always depict the world filled with only men as chaos.
Well, there are historical reasons why we would believe men are chaos.
Yeah.
But I think we are coming closer to that point in time where it could just only be women, because scientists have found a way for women to have babies using bone marrow that only would give female babies. So I think.
Oh God.
I know. I think once it happened, we'll see what happens. But I think we would do good for a good 100 years, and then stuff would start to fall apart. I think it would take 100 years before stuff would start to fall apart.
I question about this, because you always see like women control the world. It will be like a heaven. What about a bunch of dudes?
Yeah.
Dudes. I always see this.
Historical reasons have said, but things can change.
Historical reasons, guys did it for the woman. The Battle of Troy. That dude.
Okay, let's move on. I feel like we're saying the same thing a lot of times in different ways. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today, we're going to go through a few notes that are still involved with the Romantic era, but we are progressing into a specific kind of Romantic literature, which is Gothic literature. When I say Gothic, what do you guys think about?
Edgar Allan Poe.
That's actually exactly what we're going to look at first.
Aw, sweet. Can we watch, there's this thing on YouTube. Hold on. Give me 1 second. His name is like Vincent Walker or something. Hold on. Huh? Vincent Walker, I think. Hold on. Edgar Allan Poe. Vincent, it's here. It's this. It's so good. Wait, oh my god.
We're gonna watch two things tomorrow, actually. Like two
look
adaptations of
this one. Click it, Miss McCollin.
Click it.
It's so good. I watched it on Halloween. It's so good.
Oh, and it's only 6 minutes. Oh yeah, I've heard about this. I may have even seen this before. Maybe. We might watch it tomorrow. It's only 6 minutes, and I don't think that would take up too much of our time. Yeah, we might watch it tomorrow. Can't hurt. We're going to watch another couple of adaptations of Edgar Allan Poe stories that have come out in the last few years. I think it's from like 2015 maybe, but they're really interesting. But first, what I want to look at is some notes about Gothic literature, because when you're talking about Gothic literature, really what you're talking about is like all the stuff that we've learned about with Romantic literature, so like emotions and imagination, all this stuff, but also with some terror thrown in, and like good kind of, I don't know, it sounds bad to say like good kind of terror, but like exciting kind of terror. Which, like, I read this thing about the difference in terror and horror. Did we talk about that in here?
No.
I feel like we talked about that in some class, but I read this thing that was like, the difference in terror and horror is like when it happens. Terror is that feeling that something terrible is going to happen, and then horror is the awful feeling when it does happen and you're like witnessing something horrible. So I think like terror is kind of the anticipation, and that's what a lot of Gothic literature shows. And there are a lot of different conventions and like techniques that Gothic literature uses, which we're going to look at right now. And I've already posted these notes on Canvas, but I'm going to share my screen with you and go through them and kind of explain a bit.
Miss McClellan, can we also, like, it'll take a minute because I think it's like a series. It's like a few episodes, but it's Extraordinary Tales, and it's just a bunch of Edgar Allan Poe stories that I watch on Netflix all the time.
That's actually just, we're gonna watch 2 of them tomorrow.
Oh, are we gonna watch the Red Mask Death? That one? Are we gonna watch that one? I think we should watch that one. That one's really good.
I think we're just gonna watch.
I'm gonna go with the Raven.
Maybe. Well,
but they don't have the Raven on that one, which is surprising. They don't have that one. They have the
Fall the House of Usher, Telltale Heart, Facts in the Case of M. Valdemar.
Yeah.
And Mask of the Red Death. Yes, James. You read which one? Okay, well that's fine. We can you just read it again and be familiar with it. Okay, so let's take a look at these conventions of Gothic literature. So when I say conventions, what I mean by that is these techniques that are going to come up in Gothic literature. And a lot of these are used in a lot of stories during this time period. So it's something to kind of be on the lookout for. And spoiler alert, this is one of the things you're going to be writing about for Wednesday. So the first thing, and we're already kind of familiar with this a little bit, even from like Crucible days, the frontier or the wilderness or the woods. I mean, like this is a time of expansion in the United States. We're like moving out westward. There's a lot of undiscovered territory. And when there's unexplored territory, you don't know what could be hiding in it. So it has this sort of like era of the unknown or like an era of mystery. We talked about the forest or the woods. They could be associated with evil because, like we mentioned, that's kind of outside of civilization, and you can get away with stuff in the woods that you can't get away with in your normal life. We have this whole wide, vast frontier to explore. There's all this unknown stuff, unknown animals. At the time, people felt like threatened by the presence of Indians. I mean, they're portrayed as villains in a lot of things just because they were like part of the unknown. They didn't speak the same language. Is that fair? No, but that's the way it was. And then just darkness. There's like darkness out in the woods, out in the frontier, and always unknown things can lurk in the dark. Kind of playing into that, there's a whole dark versus light thing. I mean, this is used in plenty of literature, not just Gothic literature, but dark representing bad things, light representing good things. This can kind of be, it can be shown through day and night. Like daytime, everything's hunky-dory. Nighttime, stuff is bad. We kind of saw that in Young Goodman Brown, because nighttime's when he goes off to have the devil meeting, and then when he wakes up in the daytime, everything seems normal. And that can also be reflected through religion, because obviously there's like, you know, religion, God, light, angels, and then like the devil, darkness, demons, hell. It's really 2 opposite ends of the spectrum. This other thing, which is pretty cool, the double or doppelganger, which is when there's a twin or an alter ego of another character. You'll definitely see this in one of the things that we watch tomorrow. A lot of times, if there is a double or doppelganger, it can be like a psychic projection that this character does, kind of caused by unresolved anxieties. In fact, a really good example of that, and I don't know that I'd recommend this movie to you guys, but if you have seen The Black Swan, that's a really good example of the double or the doppelganger, because she keeps seeing herself or like her face on other people. And it's totally meant to reflect the state, like her mental state at the time. She's definitely like going through a psychic breakdown, and she like sees her reflection in the mirror turned towards her. It's very creepy, but it's almost like she has sort of an evil twin type of deal. And the double or doppelganger can be an actual human that looks similar, or it can be ghostly. Another good example for that would be, if you haven't seen the movie Mr. Brooks, I do highly recommend that. It's where Kevin Costner plays a serial killer who really doesn't want to be a serial killer, but he can't help himself. And he's got like another, it's almost like an imaginary friend, but it's like the embodiment of that desire to kill. So like his normal self will be like, no, I want to stop this. I don't like killing. I'm just addicted to it. I can't stop. And his like psychic double will be like, you do want to kill, you know, you love it. And like really encourage that horrible stuff. That's a really good example. And it's a good movie. So this is one of my favorite words that not a lot of people know, liminality, or liminal spaces, liminal people, liminal times. And what that means is that border or boundary of recognized existence, that sort of transition space between two things. So it can be a liminal space. A graveyard is a good example of that because it is a physical place, but spirits rest there. Doorways and windows, are they in the room or are they out of the room? Are they in the room or in the hallway? It's that liminal space between it, or like a secret room, a room within a room. Some liminal experiences would be like that moment when you're right between waking and sleeping. And I mean, it's a weird experience because like you might hear things that aren't really there. You might think you see things that aren't really there. Transitioning, you guys are in a liminal experience right now, transitioning between childhood and adulthood. You're not kids anymore, but you're also not adults yet. And then the process of dying is another good example because you're not fully alive, but you're not fully dead yet. And then there are also liminal creatures like werewolves, ghosts, vampires, zombies, any kind of undead or like a thing that transitions would be a good example of a liminal creature. So I just love this whole concept of liminality just because it's weird and like the experience is so different than anything else. The uncanny is kind of hard to explain, but it's when the familiar becomes unfamiliar in an unsettling way. And again, the black swan example is a good one for this because you're used to seeing your reflection in the mirror, but you're not used to seeing your reflection turn around and look at you. And that's definitely unsettling. If you've ever had dreams where like they're very realistic, everyone you know is there, but they're all vampires or they're all crazy or they're all trying to kill you or something like that, that's definitely like a familiar setting, but it becomes unfamiliar and it's unsettling. Dolls are also another one because they look like people, but they're not. And like, that's one of the reasons that dolls are creepy.
I just want to bring this up. This has nothing to do with being scary, but I was talking to my mom about it the other day when we were talking about TV commercials. Mm-hmm. And I remember the one time I went into Toys R Us, I wanted a Baby Alive so bad that I grabbed one that looked like me. Like it was light skin and light brown that looked like me. And I grabbed it and I opened it out of the package. And this was when Baby Alive wasn't as diverse as it was. It only had the white babies, the Mexican babies, and the black babies. Mm-hmm. And I grabbed the Mexican baby and it only spoke Spanish towards me for the rest of the time that I had it. I just wanted to bring that up just so everybody could hear that. That was the one time I went to Toys R Us. That was it. I'm sorry.
Or for like uncanny, I think a good example is anyone saw the movie Tales in the Hood, where one store where there's a painting of a woman who was a voodoo priestess just looks at you and you get this feeling of that's not real. That woman is alive.
Yeah, that is a good example. I haven't seen that movie, but it sounds like that's exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, I used to have a doll that talked, and it was so weird. It was like it was a baby, and it would like pronounce a word wrong, and you were supposed to teach it how to pronounce the word right. So it'd be like pescetti, and you're like, no, spaghetti, pescetti, spaghetti, spaghetti, spaghetti. And sometimes it would just go off in the closet, like without any kind of indication. And you just like hear this baby start talking at you. And it was really creepy. Dolls are creepy in a lot of ways. I have one haunted doll, but that's a story for another time. Degeneration, which is basically a downward spiral or like a breaking apart, either morally or physically. So you might have a character that starts out being like a really good person, and then through whatever events happen in the story, they become corrupt. Or you might have someone who starts out healthy and happy and normal, and they either like get sick or injured or something and become more broken down and decrepit and grotesque. Family is another big thing in Gothic literature, and that can kind of manifest in a lot of different ways. It might be an effect of people who are currently like young, or the main members of a family paying for the sins of their past generations. There could be these repercussions of past actions that echo across time. Like maybe something happened with the grandfather, and the grandkids are just figuring out what happened, and they kind of have to pay for whatever the grandfather did. Stuff like that. And a lot of that sort of goes into the idea that true evil never really dies. It's just carried on.
For example, for that one, sorry, the Strange Johnsons. That's the best example.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, that one is, what a weird.
Oh my God. The only reason I found out about that was I was watching I Am Zoe react to that. He couldn't keep a straight face, so I couldn't watch it seriously, but then I watched it by myself, and I was like, what is this? Like, I was like, what am I watching? It was just
I watched it and I still laugh till this day, and that's the best example.
Too much going on for a little. I could not. I was like,
this like a 10-minute film or whatever.
This is worse. This is worse than listening to Blood on the Dance Floor. Like, that's how bad it was. It was just despicable. There is so much. You like, and then you like. Because these things really happen, and you just like sitting there like, it was
like, it kind of begs the question, like, should some stuff not be shown in film? And
that's one of those things that should never have been shown in film. You want to
go with human darkness? Watch those type of movies.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's exploring human darkness, and
people talking about Antebellum being too graphic. Can we talk about that for a second, real quick?
Or something less. Tyler Perry movie, the Meet the Browns, I believe, or the one wherever movie, the one with the girl that said like, doing that crap. The mother told the child, your sister, what you believe to be your sister, is your mother.
Oh, why did I? Was it? It was the family reunion. Yeah. Medea's family reunion.
No,
that were big happy
movies actually.
Oh my God! Listen, Tyler Perry movies are despicable, and here's why. Like, I need like 1 minute. I need 1 minute on this, Miss McClellan. Like 1 minute. First, they put bad wigs and hair pieces on the men. Can we talk about that for like 2 seconds? Their hairlines don't match up with their foreheads. Everybody got a Jerry curl for some reason. Second of all, everything has to have a twist at the end, and there's no need for a twist at the end. Like, not all of that. Sometimes actors look cute. Sometimes they look cooked. Sometimes they look scuffed. We will never know until we get into that. Then, and Why Did I Get Married? And Why Did I Get Married Too? Oh my gosh, listen, when Angela found out that he had a disease, but then she told him that she gave him the disease, he choked her out like at the dinner table, like straight up. He like lunged at her and like started choking her, trying to choke her. He tried to kill her. So, Tyler Perry movies, despicable, really good, but still despicable. I do not recommend them to like anybody faint of heart or just sitting there bored. I recommend you have to be in a mood to watch them because they're ridiculous.
Yeah, I brought that up because that's a good example of family's darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you've been raising this.
I don't like how he like displays like a lot of his movies are like the most popular movies that white people watch, and I feel like that's a bad movie for white people to watch. Like
They are. I'm glad you brought that up. I've been meaning to talk about that for a long time. Listen, some of the movies, like the Medea Christmas movie with her and Larry the Cable Guy, I did not think that was so good, but that just got box office ratings because it had Larry the Cable Guy in it. Like it wasn't good.
I hate
But
it.
he isn't even that like good of a person.
yeah, no, it wasn't. But what a good movie was. Genesis, help me out because I know you watch Tyler Perry movies. Which one was like the greater? Oh, Medea's Witness Protection. I thought that was really good.
That one is a pretty
Even
good.
though it became mainstream, I thought it was really good. I thought it was a really good movie, and it was very funny. Had some really crude jokes, and it's also one of those on the past topic. It's one of those family horror things because they were running from a scam that happened, and they had to go stay with Medea and Joe, and they had to adapt to different cultures, but you would never know because there are people just out here in witness protection right now. Like, listen, sorry, I just need a second on Tyler Perry movies because they are just tragic. Continue.
Well, it sounds like some of them are good examples of the family or like evil or darkness like transpiring across generations. Kind of playing into that is the idea of the depravity of man. Depravity meaning you are depraved, you are evil, you're corrupt. And in a lot of literature that's not Gothic literature, if you have a battle between good and evil, good is going to win out because that's happy and people like to read a happy ending, but that's not what Gothic literature is about. And there's kind of this thread that means that man is inherently evil. Like we're born into evil and that's our true nature. And because of that, evil is going to win out in the end. It's not happy. Most of this Gothic literature stuff is not like, you're not going to see a happy ending, but that's not the point. Alexis?
I actually just watched a debate on if man is inherently good or evil. And so actually one of the topics that was brought up is that in a Stanford prison experiment, 21 out of 21 people, if they were given like the power, they would make their people like around them suffer.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
I think there's something to be said for it, you know?
You said in a prison, right?
The Stanford prison experiment.
Okay, so I would believe they would make the people around them in their prison suffer because they got to live with them for like a majority of their lives, depending on how long they're in prison. Listen, I watched 60 Days In with my mom. Them people are despicable as well. It just pure evil.
What it was is it was like prison experiment, meaning like if all of like the students in Stanford were put into a prison environment and one of them had control over like what you eat, what you sleep, like how you exercise, if you get beat or not every single day, like all of the students in the school abuse their power over their other fellow students.
Well, dang, that's a little aggressive. I mean, I thought you meant like prison people, like not students, like people in prison.
But I'm to a lesser extent, it's certainly not the same thing as the Stanford prison experiment. But I mean, I think there's definitely some evidence that we're all a little corrupt or we all have some evil in us. And if we didn't, we wouldn't be mean to each other ever. But sometimes we like to be mean and like most of us do anyway. Like if you feel like somebody deserves to have somebody be mean to them, you be mean to them. And I mean, if that weren't the case, we wouldn't get in fights. We wouldn't ever like be cruel to each other. We wouldn't hurt each other's feelings. But sometimes we do it, and we do it on purpose.
Period. Oh my God.
I don't believe that.
Okay,
The word evil and good. Okay, Alexis, go first.
Okay. Bringing up what LeBron said earlier about how, like, if men were in chaos and women were in chaos and everything like that, if women, they hit where it hurts. They hit your emotions.
Yeah.
Fight, like, they don't like getting messy. They like staying clean and pretty and everything like that, because, like, we hold our, like,
grudges. The word is grudges.
Yep.
There's nothing.
We always are petty with it. We hit them
God.
Hurts. We make them feel like the worst person in the world. However, men will fight it out, and then they'll be like, all right, cool. Like, and that's it. Like,
exactly. And I think that's why we will only last 100 years. Like, speaking realistically, we will only last 100 years just because of that. Because then somebody would have to say something out loud, and then it would become a problem if somebody actually says something out loud rather than just sitting and letting their way pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why we would last.
Miss McClellan.
I would rather get in a fist fight than have to deal with drama.
Right? Honestly.
I would rather get punched in the face 20 times and then us be able to drop the grudge. Like, literally, if girls were like that, I would be so much more happier in life. Like, I'd take the punches. Like, if you just want to punch me in my face, punch me in my face. Like, I don't care.
I think that would be just the easiest, simple plan. And then we could talk about why we got into a fight, and then that'd be it.
Ladies, you don't get this. When guys get into a fight, we fight to beat the crap out of you and show dominance. This ain't like,
But then you're done.
It's like the peeing race.
No, that takes some time to heal and remind yourself, like, you just got to beat up by this.
It's exactly like the peeing races that dogs do. They do it to show if, like, little dogs, male dogs, and even female dogs, because my dog does it too, and I've been noticing it. If they smell a pee spot, they will try and aim higher than what that pee spot is to make them seem bigger and stronger than the other dog that peed there. That is a scientific fact. So it's just a peeing race between men, and just like the dogs. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Why would you go through all of that just to show that you're stronger than somebody? Why can't you get equal?
And also think about, like, brothers and sisters. Like, if you got two brothers who are in a fight, they'll, like, wrestle it out on the floor, and then they'll be done. The girls will, like, storm off to each other's rooms and be like, that's why mom loves me more.
That's why I'm the favorite.
Their spirit.
I don't know what type of siblings you had, but when my sister, literally, I didn't even have to do anything wrong. One morning, I woke up, I went outside in shorts and literally this specific tank top. I went out. It was snowing in Charleston. It was beautiful. And she locked me out of the house for 2 hours, and I got hypothermia.
That's abuse. That is abuse.
I feel like us boys, we do that just to screw with each other.
Siblings you have. But my sister, I remember times where she would throw potted plants at my head. Okay?
Listen, that's
throwing crap. Just use your fist.
I don't have siblings, but I do have cousins, and me being the youngest cousin who could talk, I was very much bothersome as a child. I know that I got my cousin's mindless behavior CD stuck in her CD player because I kept opening it and closing it and opening it and closing it. That is just one specific time. Oh, and when we went to the aquarium with my aunt and my mom, her and she was wearing this shirt that says like love or something on it. And her shirt, it had like this liquid in it. Like when you pressed it, the liquid would move. It was kind of like one of those little oil shirts, I guess. But I kept, yeah. And I kept pressing it. And I was like, this looks like soy sauce. This looks like soy sauce. Like that's what I would just keep doing over and over again. Like I just remember specific moments where I was just irritating. And I know that if I were to have siblings, this would be the same thing.
I didn't deserve it. Like I was an annoying child.
Yeah.
And now it formed me into like this wonderful chillax, let everything roll off my back because I don't have any care for my own personal
well-being.
My sister
Yeah.
tortured me as a child. So like I became a better person because of it. But I'm just saying now there's like trauma to back that up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on. This one is the grotesque, and that might be like a weird, like when you think of grotesque, you think of like gross. This kind of means like physically gross, like usually a mutation of characters, plants, or animals. Um, there can be a transformation of normal features or behaviors that are extreme and usually frightening. Like I'm actually thinking about this one story in particular, not an Edgar Allan Poe story, but one from around this time period where like the main character is like a hunchback midget with a wonky eye, and like and like he's intended to be grotesque and therefore a little frightening. Some of it might be like a weird animal or something.
The
or
Elephant Man, when
the
they didn't know
would be a great
about him. Yeah.
for sure. I think this is the last one. It would be masks, and that can be either like a physical mask or it can be a disguise, like kind of putting on a different personality.
Oh my God.
It
The
can
Mask with Jim Carrey in it and
Oh,
Cameron Diaz.
yeah.
Oh, such a good movie. Okay.
Which like it does kind of like change his personality, so it sort of works on both levels. But they're always intended to hide the true self and intensify the mystery of a character. And then there's another specific one, which is the death veil. And back then, people did typically like put, or at least for women, I don't know about for men, would put on like a veil for like put a veil on a corpse. To kind of just like shield it from view because you don't want to look at a dead face, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like the death veil was a very specific mask that crops up in some of this literature. Okay.
Hold on, Miss McClellan.
Yeah.
Speaking of masks, you're saying like hiding true self. There's a reason why people hide themselves.
Yeah, of course there is.
I like that they use the word hide true self because on the internet, it is a mask. Like the internet itself is a giant ball filled with people wearing masks of themselves.
Absolutely. Okay, so for today, we only have a little over 10 minutes left, but I think we can read this, and James said that he read it last year, so maybe some of you did as well.
Yeah.
A short story.
This is a really good story.
It's a good story. It's short, but it is effective.
In Miss Dezirka's class, we had a trial on whether or not that man was actually guilty, and I was on the not guilty party, and we won. So that should just tell you.
Okay, so I want you to go ahead and like be thinking about these Gothic conventions that we just looked at, and as I read, see which ones you can pick up on, because like I said, it's one thing that you will be reading about on Wednesday. I hope that my you know what? I'm gonna unplug this because you guys can open that on your own computer because my battery is getting really low. Okay. Oh, sorry. Let me share it again. Come on. All right. It's true. Yes, I have been ill, very ill. But why do you say that I have lost control of my mind? Why do you say that I am mad? Can you not see that I have full control of my mind? Is it not clear that I am not mad? Indeed, the illness only made my mind, my feelings, my senses stronger, more powerful. My sense of hearing especially became more powerful. I could hear sounds I'd never heard before. I heard sounds from heaven and I heard sounds from hell. Listen, and I will tell you how it happened. Ooh, maybe. Hang on. This is like stretched out too far. What the heck? How did this happen? Come on. Sorry, I can't see my whole screen. There we go. You will see, you will hear how healthy my mind is. You sound really healthy. It's impossible to say how the idea first entered my head. There was no reason for what I did. I did not hate the old man. I even loved him. He had never hurt me. I did not want his money. I think it was his eye. His eye was like the eye of a vulture, the eye of one of those terrible birds that watch and wait while an animal dies and then fall upon the dead body and pull it to pieces to eat it. When the old man looked at me with his vulture eye, a cold feeling went up and down my back. Even my blood became cold. And so I finally decided I had to kill the old man and close that eye forever. So you think that I'm mad? A madman cannot plan, but you should have seen me during all of that week. I was as friendly to the old man as I could be, and warm and loving. Every night about 12 o'clock, I slowly opened his door. And when the door was open wide enough, I put my hand in and then my head. In my hand, I held a light covered over with a cloth so that no light showed, and I stood there quietly. Then carefully I lifted the cloth just a little so that a single thin, small light fell across that eye. For 7 nights I did this, 7 long nights, and every night at midnight. Always the eye was closed, so it was impossible for me to do the work. For it was not the old man I felt I had to kill, it was the eye, his evil eye. And every morning I went to his room, and with a warm, friendly voice, I asked him how he had slept. He could not guess that every night, just at 12, I looked in at him as he slept. The 8th night, I was more than usually careful as I opened the door. The hands of a clock moved more quickly than did my hand. Never before had I felt so strongly my own power. I was now sure of success. The old man was lying there, not dreaming that I was at his door. Suddenly he moved in his bed. You may think I became afraid, but no. The darkness in his room was thick and black. I knew he could not see the opening of the door. I continued to push the door slowly, softly. I put in my head. I put in my hand with the covered light. Suddenly the old man sat straight up in bed and cried, "Who's there?" I stood quite still. For a whole hour I did not move, nor did I hear him again lie down in his bed. He just sat there listening. Then I heard a sound, a low cry of fear which escaped the old man. Now I knew that he was sitting up in his bed, filled with fear. I knew that he knew I was there. He did not see me there. He could not hear me there. He felt me there. Now he knew that death was standing there. Slowly, little by little, I lifted the cloth until a small, small light escaped from under it to fall upon that vulture eye. It was open, wide, wide open, and my anger increased as it looked straight at me. I could not see the old man's face, only that eye, that hard blue eye, and the blood in my body became like ice. Have I not told you that my hearing had become unusually strong? Now I could hear a quick, low, soft sound, like the sound of a clock heard through a wall. It was the beating of the old man's heart. I tried to stand quietly, but the sound grew louder. The old man's fear must have been great indeed. And as the sound grew louder, my anger became greater and more painful, but it was more than anger. In the quiet night, in the dark silence of the bedroom, my anger became fear. For the heart was beating so loudly that I was sure someone must hear. The time had come. I rushed into the room crying, "Die, die." The old man gave a loud cry of fear as I fell upon him and held the bed covers tightly over his head. Still his heart was beating, but I smiled as I felt that success was near. For many minutes that heart continued to beat, but at last the beating stopped. The old man was dead. I took away the bed covers and held my ear over his heart. There was no sound. Yes, he was dead, dead as a stone. His eye would trouble me no more. So I'm mad, you say. You should have seen how careful I was to put the body where no one could find it. First, I cut off the head and then the arms and the legs. I was careful not to let a single drop of blood fall on the floor. I pulled up 3 of the boards that formed the floor and put the pieces of the body there. Then I put the boards down again, carefully, so carefully that no human eye could see that they had been moved. As I finished this work, I heard that someone was at the door. It was now 4 o'clock in the morning, but still dark. I had no fear, however, as I went down to open the door. 3 men were at the door, 3 officers of the police. One of the neighbors had heard the old man's cry and had called the police. These 3 had come to ask questions and to search the house. I asked the policeman to come in. The cry, I said, was my own in a dream. The old man, I said, was away. He had gone to visit a friend in the country. I took them through the whole house, telling them to search it all, to search well. I led them finally into the old man's bedroom. As if playing a game with them, I asked them to sit down and talk for a while. My easy, quiet manner made the policemen believe my story. So they sat talking with me in a friendly way. But although I answered them in the same way, I soon wished that they would go. My head hurt and there was a strange sound in my ears. I talked more and faster. The sound became clearer and still they sat and talked. Suddenly, I knew that the sound was not in my ears. It was not just inside my head. At that moment, I must have become quite white. I talked still faster and louder, and the sound too became louder. It was a quick, low, soft sound, like the sound of a clock heard through a wall, a sound I knew well. Louder it became, and louder. Why did the men not go? Louder, louder. I stood up and walked quickly around the room. I pushed my chair across the floor to make more noise to cover that terrible sound. I talked even louder. And still the man sat and talked and smiled. Was it possible that they could not hear? No, they heard. I was certain of it. They knew. Now it was they who were playing a game with me. I was suffering more than I could bear from their smiles and from that sound. Louder, louder, louder. Suddenly I could bear it no longer. I pointed at the boards and cried, yes, yes, I killed him. Pull up the boards and you shall see. I killed him. But why does his heart not stop beating? Why does it not stop? So like I said, you guys are going to write about this or another one on Wednesday, but just off the top of your heads, did you notice any of the Gothic conventions that we talked about from the notes? I definitely picked up on several.
The man one for me.
Which one?
It was the man, the creation of men.
Oh yeah, the depravity of man, like
depravity of man.
Evil winning out.
Yeah. And again, the dude was just dead insane.
Yeah.
He convinced himself like, oh no, I'm not insane.
I know. It's like when you start off being like, I'm definitely not crazy, I'm like, that's a big red flag. That's definitely one. Anything else?
I would kind of say like family also, because like he was close to like the.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it doesn't really say like if he is related to this guy, but he does say that like he thinks of him like family. He loves this guy.
The guy is him.
What if the guy is him?
The meaning of the whole story is nothing. But
Ooh, if that was the case, it could definitely be like a double doppelganger type of thing. That would be. I like that reading. It was his own.
Yeah.
Could be. I like that.
I don't know why, but this story like shows that like how love could sacrifice someone else's happiness for some reason. Like,
yeah, no, I agree with that.
I don't know why, but that like, cause this is my first time. Well, not first time reading it, but like read it in the last couple of years, and I just came to realization about that. So.
Yeah, I think it could absolutely represent that. Another one of the Gothic conventions, I don't want to like walk you to the door on this one, but the guy's eye being like a physical deformation, that could definitely be one of those, one of the Gothic conventions that we talked about.
What, like math type thing?
No, remember there was the one about
grotesque.
Like, yep, the grotesque.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, the fact that he's got like a gross deformed eye can definitely play into that. Okay, the bell's about to ring. We can talk about this a little bit more tomorrow, and we're gonna watch a few. Rather than reading every single one, we're gonna watch some together. So I will see you guys tomorrow.
The lunch Zoom is open, folks. The lunch Zoom is open. I repeat. Okay, it'll be open. Okay, everybody. I'll see y'all there. I love y'all. Bye.